Kelly, I just wanted to give you some insight into our hip-based exercises, which are what you experienced on Monday with the deadlift, what was originally meant to be a trap bar deadlift, and your single leg Romanian deadlift. And then you had a hip thrust on the bottom end of that workout as well, body weight hip thrust. And then you're going to see some things tomorrow too. You're going to see, I believe, a ham bridge, which is basically just a glute bridge with your feet elevated. It's going to target hamstrings a bit more. And then as well as a barbell glute bridge. Okay, so these are hip dominant exercises. Now, it is very, it can be challenging at first to figure out how to kind of avoid your back taking all the load. On the one angle, you want to make sure, of course, that your back is flat when you are in your bent position. So flat back, this is what we need to keep your back from succumbing to the load and then, having a problem from there. But it's also the other end of the story is up at the top, because if at the top I'm arched like this, I'm still cranking on my spine the same way as if I did it rounded out. So what I need to do to protect that is really think about not using my back, but using my hips. And the way that we do that is to engage in what's called the posterior pelvic tilt. And I will use the short form of that called the PPT, posterior pelvic tilt. So if I'm standing like this, it's just neutral. I'm not excessively arched. I'm not, in this kyphotic position, super rounded out. I'm just neutral. Got my natural curve in my back, which you can't really see with a shirt on. But you can sure as hell see an extended or kind of a higher degree of lordosis in the spine if I'm like this, right? So people who walk around like this all day, they're going to end up with back problems the same way somebody who walks around like this all day is going to end up with back problems. So make sure at the top of your movements, particularly bridge movements, that you tilt the pelvis under, okay? So you can kind of see how I've tilted the pelvis. That just means you're really squeezing your glutes. So I'm squeezing and I'm gonna let go. Watch my butt. I let go. Squeeze, let go. And that's what protects you from getting your low back super hot during a workout. So when I stand up from the bottom of a deadlift, I'm not gonna think about lift with my back, because then I'm gonna feel it in my back. So instead, you're gonna think of your deadlift like this. Once the bar is above the knees, just push the hips through. Deadlift, hips through. Again, instead of picking it up with my back. I hope that makes some sense. It basically means that you're thinking, lift the bar, posterior pelvic tilt. That's what it's all about. It's a little more difficult to see that in action with a glute bridge, but I'm gonna do my best to show you. So, all this kid's shit lying around, Oh my gosh. So, you can see how much I prepared for this video. Okay, I'm gonna move my stuff out of the way. If I do a bridge and I just crank on my low back, I can get my hips up pretty high, right? But what I really want to do is I want to think about bring my hips up. Look, I can't get my hips that high because if I go any higher, I start to feel it in my back because my spine is extending to reach that hip extension. So instead, I'm just thinking, how tight can I squeeze my cheeks and tuck my pelvis under right there? That's really, really hard. And it's difficult to do, but it really gets the glutes and I feel nothing in my low back. Same thing, I'm elevating my feet here like you're gonna do in the ham bridge tomorrow. I'm coming up, but I'm still tucking. And it's almost like my hips are still closed, but it's not that. I'm just only going as high as I can while being able to keep my pelvis tilted and avoiding excessive extension of my lower spine. So that's what needs to happen when you've got that bar. You don't want to lift and arch. You don't want to lift and arch. You've got to squeeze your ass, pull your ribs down, tuck the pelvis, and come up. You should get a glute pump and not a low back pump. So that's going to be our goal for tomorrow. And then when you do Monday's workout again, I'm trying to think if I need to tell you anything else about that. one last thing. You may have seen me do this with my hands to kind of demonstrate the PPT, but I like to think about the little dials on the hips. Okay, so if I turn the dials this way, boop, extension. If I turn them this way, posterior pelvic tilt. Anterior tilt, posterior tilt. Learn how to go from here to here. And that does not mean rounding from my upper back. It just means controlling my hips. This is loose and not tight. This is tight. All right? Sorry for the 5-minute video.